Welcome to the first episode of Bound by Sound, a podcast about the world of production music, brought to you by your friends at FirstCom Music, which is, of course, a division of Universal Publishing Production Music. I'm Jeff Skinwade, one of the producers for FirstCom's Velocity label, and in our very first session, I'm delighted to bring to you my special guest and good friend, Christina May. She's the film and TV music director, plus a producer at FirstCom, and like the rest of the world, we recently caught up via Zoom. She's out there on the left coast in the trenches, making it happen on a daily basis. Good afternoon, Christina.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
You know, when we started talking about doing this podcast, you're one of the first people I thought of for a lot of reasons. Aside from the talent, you've got a great energy and a really good vision about where this industry needs to go and what the needs of the supervisors and the different people that you talk to on a daily basis. But I feel like you're down in the trenches every day, and yet you also have this really great creative energy about you too. You sort of, you're a jack of all trades in this business, is I guess what I would like to say.
Thank you. No, I try to be. Just try to use my different skill sets for different needs and areas in the business and for the needs of FirstCom.
Hopefully people listen to this soon after we post it, but they may listen to it on down the road, and who knows how long the pandemic and shelter at home and that sort of thing will go on, but it's obviously changed the way you go about doing business. So how different is the ways that you do business right now in the midst of what is sort of taking over the country?
Well, in terms of my workflow, I can really do my job from anywhere. I facilitate music search requests from our film and TV clients every day, all day. So, they'll ask me for music that sounds like this or that, or, a specific scene. And I'm just doing the music searches on the FirstCom website, building playlists. So it's all on my computer. And then in terms of like the production side of it, I'm always remote anyway. So for me, I'm good. But, I think it's a different story when it comes to our industry, because there's sets that are being closed and productions that are being shut down, and, people can't get into their editing bays or into the recording studio. So a big portion of our business has come to a screeching halt.
I would imagine too, it's like, does anybody really know what their budgets are going to be moving forward? Everything is completely uncertain.
Everything's just kind of up in the air, because we just don't know what August is going to look like, September, the rest of the year is going to look like.
I'm curious. I was sitting there thinking about the types of things you do. How good is your memory? Do you have one of those photographic memories where you can instantly recall about 10 songs at the same time that may fit the client's request?
I really wish that I did. Sometimes I feel like I have early onset Alzheimer's because I have the worst memory ever. But when it comes to the FirstCom library, I think I'm pretty good.
People probably ask you a lot, well, I don't understand. What is it that you do? And I would think that the origin of all of it, at least I know it is for me, is it starts with a profound love of music and all the different ways that music is experienced by people and the types of things that, music makes you think about. So I'm curious what your trail has been to get to where you are and how the role that music played in your life.
I think I was just kind of born with this love for music in me, and just a taste for music, and also for the entertainment industry too. My dad had a television production company, and so I was, kind of immersed in that from a very early age. And I grew up singing and dancing and just kind of, exploring that creative side. And so I think it was always a given. I knew that I wanted to be in the music industry or the entertainment industry, and I knew I wanted to be in LA. Growing up in Dallas, which is a big city, but not a lot of opportunity when it comes to music. So I thought, little did I know, I would be back there, with FirstCom. Yeah, I just thought I need to be in LA. So after high school, literally couple weeks after high school, I booked it out, and my sister and I, we packed up the car and, we drove out to LA and literally never went back, never turned back. And so it's just kind of been this ever-changing path that I've been on. When I first went into school, I thought that I wanted to be a singer. I grew up singing and dancing, and I thought I wanted to be a performer. And then, the more logical Virgo side of me thought, no, you need to study some business, get on the business side of things. So I studied music business as well, so that I would have that in my back pocket. And it's just important to know about the business that you're getting into anyway. So after I graduated, I needed a job, and I started working in post-production, which was very familiar to me based on what my dad did for a living. And I discovered, music supervision and licensing music for picture, and really didn't know anything about it, but I knew that I discovered a lot of music that I loved through the things that I would watch. So that to me seemed like a really dope job. And then I don't know, it just kind of grew from there, this marriage between music and picture. That's kind of how I ended up where I am. Feel super lucky.
Yeah, there's always, for anybody who's successful, there's an element of luck and right place. But I do believe that if you chase the things that you're passionate about and the things that you care about, you sort of end up in these places where you're supposed to be. And then it's a matter of making the most of that situation. Like, for example, you talked about your love of music, or maybe you're consuming a lot of different, movies or television programs or whatever, and you don't necessarily think about that aspect of it, but that those are things that you care about. And then suddenly you're standing at this crossroad, you go, oh, this is a thing that I could be doing. I think I should be doing that. A lot of people I talk to in different professions, they hadn't planned on being there, but they were just sort of chasing that creative energy that they cared a lot about. You're still very young. I mean, there's no telling what all you could do in your career, but you're in a really good place right now, being able to tap into all of those worlds that you seem to care about.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, I grew up in the 90s and the early thousands, and, I grew up watching Grey's Anatomy and the OC, both very heavily influenced by the music that's, used. And film and TV would not be what it is without the music that's involved. It creates the emotion. And I don't think I knew that that's what that was when I was watching it. Mm-hmm. But, there was a reason why those songs resonated with me when I would, be immersed in whatever the scene was that it was synced to. Once I realized that that was a profession, it just, everything kind of clicked into place. And I thought, what do I need to do to get into that industry and work with these people? Maybe I want to be one of those people. Maybe there's another place for me within that industry. And I feel like I've sort of found that with where I'm at now. There's a lot of music supervisors out there that are in this business, and they talk about what a struggle it is. It's a profession that a lot of people want to get into now. So I feel like with what I'm doing at FirstCom, I sort of get the best of both worlds, which is really cool.
Yeah, and there's also something really amazing if you lean towards artistic energies or creative energies. When, a song fits because of the tempo or the sonic feel or the key or any of those kinds of things. And then there's this whole other component where, like, subtextually the lyrics add extra meaning to the scene. Think about how many incredible movies or shows that you've seen where, especially if you knew the song previously and the way it's re-articulated in the scene, like the way, for example, Liza Richardson uses Charles Bradley in the TV show Barry, and you go back and listen to the Charles Bradley, listen to the lyrics, it's like, God, aside from the way it sounds, the lyrics just have so much extra impact. There's an art to that as well that I think is probably very satisfying for you.
Totally. Those are some of the hardest music search requests that I get on a daily basis too, I need a song that has a lyrical theme of this. Right.
So let's talk about the production track that you're on, because you've been involved in some really great projects for FirstCom on the producer level. One that is very recent and is super cool is The Future is Female, which not only does that individual project work in the capacity it does, but it's part of sort of a overarching theme that FirstCom is pushing to diversify some voices and put the power in some other folks' hands. So talk about that particular project and how that kind of fits into the larger theme that we're talking about.
The Future is Female it's a female-fronted pop album. It was co-written and performed by 6 women that were not previously in the FirstCom catalog. So, to introduce new women into the library, that's something I'm super proud of.
Heck yeah.
As a whole, it's always been like a priority of mine to create more opportunities for women in the production music industry, just because it is such a male-dominated industry. There's not a lot of female, producers and songwriters, engineers. They're very underrepresented in the music industry as a whole. But, I'm in production music, so I feel like that's where I can really make my impact, especially being the forgotten industry that it is. So I think that's what we're trying to do at FirstCom. We're really just trying to even the playing field and create more diversity within production music. And so with Future is Female, I think that's just kind of my first step into this to introduce new women into the catalog. The songs themselves are very female empowered, motivating, and inspirational. It's the first step, but there's so much more to come with that.
One of the things I'm curious about is songs work individually within a project, but then a lot of times there's a bigger theme or a bigger idea. And so when you were sort of shaping this particular project, did you feel like there were certain things that had to be covered going into it? Or did the project sort of evolve on its own as the people involved were creating the music?
Well, it started out as me having a vision of an all-female album, female-fronted, co-written, didn't have to be only women, just I wanted it to be, fronted by women and, like I said, creating more opportunities for them.
Right.
And then I knew obviously that I wanted the songs to be about empowering women, and from whatever perspective that may be. Also, I have to look into what is being requested. A lot of our clients are looking for those types of songs. Women are kind of dominating right now in every different type of industry. So that's something that a lot of our clients are looking for, that particular song that can send that message. That was probably my number one vision, was to create songs fronted by women, for women, about women, and empowering them. We're
going to take a listen to a little bit of No Ride, which is the first song on the project. But before we do that, tell me a little bit about the song, and then also tell me why that's the very first song on the project, because I'm always interested in why a song is the first choice for something. Yeah. So tell me about that.
Track listing is always one of the most difficult tasks for me, towards the end of a project. But with that song, it's featuring an artist named Sade, who's incredible. She's, born and raised in LA. She's a rapper vocalist, and I think you'll understand why I chose it as the first song. When you play it, it just kind of like hits you with a punch from the very beginning, and it really sets the tone for the rest of the album. And I also strategically wanted to place out in the track listing some of Sade's songs because she's on 6 out of 12. So, there was a little bit of strategy there as well.
You called me the other night. Don't you know I've got no time? That's it, I'll never ride for you and I. Don't you call me babe? Thought you had a chance dropping DMs on my page. You can stay outside, you can park it on the pavement. Waiting, I don't need a man that's cheap and basic. I'm ranking. Back up. I don't need another suitor, babe. Man up. Put your pouting on the Twitter page, yeah. And I advise you to take a deep breath, cause you gon' hold it till the colors in your cheeks left. Whoa, child, I don't mind. You can follow if you like. Just know I got no time. Now for you and I, call me if you like. Don't expect me to reply. Don't expect no ride or die. Now for you and I, when I treat you like a ghost, take this man home. Everybody else already knows I'm the only one I need. You're the one that needs to grow. I ain't playing, boy. Turn around and walk it out. You've got to go. For the love of God, for the love of God. Watch, baby, I don't mind. Just stand home, yeah. Televised, you don't need to come by. From a distance, though.
Off the Future is Female project, No Ride by Sade. How long did you know her? Is that someone that you'd known for a long time that you wanted to work with? Or I'm curious how you sort of curated the talent involved in this project.
No, I didn't know her at all, actually. So it was, awesome to get to work with her, and I can't wait to work with her on future projects. A friend of mine who produced the project, his name's Jaron. He's friends with her, and he introduced me to her, and, we got in the recording studio with her, and I got to spend an entire day with her on the song Better Together. And it was really, really cool to get to see her work, and like her vocal range is crazy. So it was cool.
I know obviously things are different right now, but how much time do you get to spend in studios and that aspect of it? How appealing is that to you?
is very appealing to me because I feel immersed in the creative process as opposed to just being behind my laptop and giving notes on demos via, whatever music platform we're using. So I don't get to spend a lot of time in the studio on a normal day just because, I have this sort of hybrid position where I need to be in the office and I'm fielding requests from clients. But when I do, it reminds me of why I'm doing what I'm doing.
The studio vibes are the fun vibes. Okay, let's talk about, a project like Alternative Beats. We're going to play a song off of that. And, start me from the conception of that project, the kind of requests you're getting and why you put a project like that together.
Yeah, Alternative Beats is sort of a mishmash of different styles. We were inspired by Billie Eilish and a couple of different like bluesy rock artists that, they just have that like swagger, stomp clap kind of vibe that you hear in like big network promos or trailers. And so we were trying to figure out how we could create an album that mixed a lot of these different styles, but still like make it work. Sort of a compilation type disc, but it was born by Billie Eilish, really. It really only ended up with like 2 songs that were in the style of Billie, but it really was for those big trailer network clients who were looking for a song to make an impact for a trailer for a TV show or a promo for sports or something like that.
I have a 14-year-old daughter, so you can't imagine how much Billie Eilish has been played at my house over the course of the last 2 or 3 years. She absolutely runs the roost, and she is a truly extraordinary artist. And so really I would imagine is the over under on request of we need something that sounds like Billie Eilish, is it like 5 times a week type thing? How often do you get that request?
It used to be all, like you said, like 4 or 5 times a week. And that was happening even before I think she blew up. Once somebody blows up like that, the requests for the music they hit a peak and then they kind of trickle off. I think I got a Spotify Wrapped playlist from like 2017 or something like that. And I found a Billie Eilish song on there and I was like, I didn't even know that was her. And so that's kind of the like time frame within an artist's career, and like right up until the peak where, they're really hot, where clients are like, oh, that sound could be really cool and unexpected in this scene. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. I think my daughter thinks she discovered her. I don't know, but I love the connection and I love hearing the music. So
everybody thinks they discovered her.
Okay, well, we're going to play something off Alternative Beats, and it kind of goes right along with what you're talking about energy-wise. The one I wanted to play off this with You Can Count On.
Great song.
You can count on me.
That's You Can Count on Me on the FirstCom project Alternative Beats of my good friend Christina May. Who, Christina, this is the very first podcast of Bound by Sound. You're the inaugural guest. No pressure. How do you feel?
Really?
Like yes.
This is my very first podcast experience, so I hope I'm not completely.
Yeah. I have been wanting to do this for a long time because I do want people to get to hear the different aspects of business and what people encounter as they do this sort of stuff. And I love that not only are you creating, but you're also working on the supervision end, and you're in the trenches in LA. But I would imagine you still get just a ton of quote unquote hip hop or rap or trap style requests. I would imagine that's still a big part of what's coming.
Yeah, never ending.
I know we've got a lot of projects that have come out recently and are still coming down the pike. When there's another project that starts up, do you have a specific vision of what you want each one to be, or do you want it to be just more all encompassing because you do get so many different kinds of requests?
There's a lot of different factors for me that come into play when I think about what project I want to produce next. One of the big factors is, what are we missing, in the catalog? Having that perspective of doing the music searches for clients every day and seeing what the requests are, I have a better understanding of what's missing and what we were able to fulfill and what we weren't. So that's something I take into account. Another is obviously music trends and where the trends are going, who's popular and that sort of thing. And then, like I said, the client requests, what are people asking for? So those are really the three factors when I think about what I'm going to produce. And then there's also the curveballs, where there's just some sort of off the cuff idea that we have that, we think could be either a hit or miss. Maybe it'll be a niche little thing that'll be nice to have in our back pocket. Actually, Ken Nelson, who's the head of production at FirstCom and my boss, he had an idea for an album last year, and it was sort of like poolside beach house type vibe for our new label, Capital Studio Masters. And when he sent me the playlist, I thought, oh, this is kind of cool. It's totally my vibe. Not anything that I thought was being requested. Mm-hmm. And then we just decided to go forward with the album, and it ended up being one of the most successful albums that I've done to date, from film, TV, advertising, across the board. So, I don't like to pay too much attention to trends. Sometimes it's nice to be creative and kind of take a risk. But, we do always have to take our clients into account and what they need. Yeah,
absolutely. You brought up the Capital Masters. I'd like to, for you to kind of expand on that, what it is and what it means to the catalog.
Yeah. Capital Studio Masters, obviously Capitol Records being affiliated with Universal Music, as are we. It was born with the idea of a sort of extending on that legacy, the Capitol Studios and Capitol Records legacy through production music. And it sort of is just an elevated label of music for the catalog that you don't see really in other labels. The concepts are also unique from a creative standpoint, like with the Best Beach project that I spoke about. That wasn't something that, we thought, oh, this is going to be perfect for this type of client. It was more so just from the point of, this is going to be cool from a consumer perspective. And it ended up being super successful. Another album that I produced for that label is called Soundtrack of Dreams, which is sort of a dream pop M83 style type album, which is probably my favorite album that I've produced. And that one for me is, from a listening standpoint, is incredible. And I love being able to do that too, like not just creating music for sync, but music that people might want to listen to.
Yeah, that's the fine line, right? Is what has an end user function and what inspires you musically, and can you merge those two things and get the best of both worlds?
Right, because our music's on Spotify too, so we want it to be listenable, we want it to be enjoyable, and that's just kind of another part of the business that we have to tap into.
Okay, so before I let you boogie, why don't you kind of tease the listening audience here as to something that might be coming down the pike you know about, or that you're working on, that you're excited about?
Something coming down the pipeline is a female front-end chill R&B album, sort of inspired by Her or SZA, and it's featuring the artist Hill, who's a new artist that I haven't worked with, and she's incredible. That's something I'm very excited about, releasing it in May, Spotify shortly after. I
will be looking forward to hearing that, and I will look forward to having you on this podcast again sometime in the near future. Christina, if anybody's listening and they want to get a hold of you because they need, you know what, I need to hit her up and see if she can make this happen for me musically, how do they get a hold of you?
They can email me, christina.may@umusic.com.
Boom. There it is. Hey, thanks for doing this. I really, really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it.
I really did. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, that's going to do it for our very first episode of Bound by Sound. I hope that you enjoyed it. We'll be back very soon with another special guest. And until next time, something that I haven't thought of yet for a tagline to end this podcast.